guys, and welcome to my channel. And today we're going to recreate this beautiful texture Instanxinh visual in Touch Designer. So just a little note over here, maybe you have seen the title which is written Instanxinh with X-I-N. H is not a typo, it's actually Vietnamese. And in Vietnamese, Xinh is actually means beautiful. Okay, so just a word play and throwing some kind of cultural reference over here. Today we're going to recreate this kind of beautiful visual. Just want to talk a little bit about this. So this is partly influenced by my research into recreating one of the effects that was done by Weird Core, which is an artist that I admire. But finally, it turns out to be something completely different with a lot of variations, which at the end of this videos, I'm going to share with you guys some of the settings as well as the variations of this visual that we can create with texture Instanxinh. And last but not least, before we started, my Patreon page is available in the link in the descriptions. In the Patrons, you would find all of the resources, project files, texture files of the tutorial. It would help you a lot in your process of learning Touch Designer. And also it helps me to continue with my own research as well as putting videos on YouTube. So just $5 a month, you'll be able to support a poor artist such as me. So consider it, be considerate and think about it as well. Okay, so let's get started. So basically, let me just introduce the architecture of this project over here before we go into any of the technical gibberish. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is to prepare the PNG files of yours. If you download the project from my patrons, you get all the files with transparent PNG, but otherwise just basically cutting pictures from another photos and put that onto a alpha channels, and then we put all of this texture into Touch Designer and put them into a switch node, and then we use texture 3D to be able to convert all this texture into texture Instanxinh. And of course, without the setup of Instanxinh over here, we will not be able to create all of this instant. And then we have feedback loop to create this kind of beautiful trail after the instance. And then just some simple compositing with black backgrounds and crop just to make it fit for Instagram feed. Okay. So it's pretty simple, and without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is we want to import all of the texture that we have prepared for the tutorial today, and just go into the folders and just select them all with shift, holding shift on keyboards, and then drag and drop it into Touch Designer, and you're gonna see that they're gonna stack up on top of each other. So we need to unstack them by just clicking on them one by one and lay them down like this. Okay. In total, I have about 20 layers or 20 textures, but the number here doesn't really reflect the real number of the layers. It's just random layers that I exported out of Photoshop. So basically, you know that we have 20 layers. All right, and I think we have it. So afterwards, what we're going to do next is we're going to select all this texture by using the right mouse button, select them all. And then we're going to put them to a switch top. And just select them all and then plug one of them into the input of the switch. And automatically they will be on connected with the switch. Okay, just put it here just to see it better. And now what we want to do next is we're going to type in an expression in the index over here. The expression is me referring to the switch one top that we're using. Okay, and time, and then frame, and percentage 10. Actually, percentage is going to be the number of frame that we have, or the number of layers, number of texture that we have in the projects. So it's going to be 20. Okay, but the index starts from 0. Okay, so that's why we're going to need to add 1 into this numbers. So it's going to be 21. We're going to minus this by 1 so that it's showing also the first texture, which is going to be the index 0. Okay, and enter. So now you're going to see that the number run from 0 to 20s. Okay, and just leave it there. And next thing we want to do is going to add in a texture 3D. So what it does, this texture 3D, this texture 3D is basically a cache of texture. Okay, so we store the so we input a videos into this texture 3D, just like the example that we did on the first tutorial with recreating David Hockney visuals. It's basically store all of the frame into a large texture. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into type and change this one to 2D texture array, and we're going to on the cache side over here, we're going to type in 21. Okay, and then on the preview, we're going to turn this on. Okay, so now you're going to see that all the texture that we have in the previous texture were imported into this 2D texture array. Okay, and it's ready for us to use in the next step of the tutorial. Okay, so we leave the texture 3D over here, and what we're going to do now is we're going to create a system of instancing renders, and then we're going to apply this texture on each of the instance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in a constant top. Okay, and name is X, and then we add another channel, which is Y. Okay, so this is basically these resolutions of the geometry that we're going to create. Okay, and next thing we want to do is we're going to create a rectangle sub, and we're going to put this through a geometry node. So click in the space between these two blue rectangle over here, and then type in geometry. So you're gonna see that the geometry has been created. Okay, we're going to turn on instant. Okay, for now just leave it there. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use a circle sop to be able to make the rectangle appear on the edge point of the circle. So we're going to add in a circle sop. And then we need to be able to define the number of points on this circle over here. Now, if we go zoom into the circle over here and I turn on the view active, okay, and I'm going to press on P to be able to display all the points over here. So basically, the ideas behind Instanxing is that you're going to use a geometry, rectangle, circle, anything, to be able to make them emit our this point over here. Okay, so basically now we have 40 divisions, which is equivalent to 39 points, as you can see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use this resolutions over here, 6 by 6, 6 multiplied 6, to be able to assign to number of divisions over here. And easiest way is just we're going to turn on the constant view active, and going to drag and drop it into the divisions, chop reference, and we open the chop reference over here. We put asterisk, and we copy this one of constant 1 x, paste it to the other side, and make sure that this one is y. Okay, so now whenever we change the number of the constant over here, 10, okay, the number of points is going to change accordingly. Okay, we don't need to manually input them. That's the beauty of and the convenience of this method. Okay, so that's about the circle over here. And next thing we want to do is we can drag and drop this into the geo and translate OP, and you see nothing happens because you need to select the translate X, P0, P1, and P2. Okay, and you're starting to see that the rectangle is being arranged on the circle over here. Okay, and we can reduce the size of the rectangle to make it smaller. Okay, something like this. They can overlap on top of each other and it's fine. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of rotations to the arcs angles over here. So I'm just going to type in the very infamous expression, which is abs time dot second, and we're going to multiply it by 10. So you're going to see now all the instants start moving. Okay, and we have this simple instancing that we can use for our next step. So next step is just we're going to create a noise chop to be able to generate some random scaling for the rectangle as well as for the textual coordinate, which we're going to connect it to the textual 3D over here later. So imagine this as edge of this rectangle over here as a texture that we selected from the sources over here, and they are randomly distributed onto this rectangle. Now, the reason why this one has to be a rectangle is because basically rectangle is the easiest format for texture distributions or texture mapping, okay, because the x and the y value is equal to each other, so it's easiest to distribute the or to map the texture on top of this rectangle, okay. And what we want to do, just come back to the noise over here. What we want to do now is we're going to first transform the noise. So ABS time second and 10. Okay, so we have a moving noise over here, which is generating random values. And what we need to do now is we use the middle mouse button and click on the noise chop over here. We're going to see the number of index over here. So it's 600 index. Meanwhile, if we click on the geometries over here, you're going to see it's not very clear over here, but if you click on the circle over here, you're going to see that it's 30 points, okay, 36 vertices, which is basically equivalent to 36 index, okay. And we need to have the same number of index, okay, to be able to assign the noise for the scaling operations or the texture coordinations operations. Because now if we drag and drop this into the scale and we choose scale X, for example, you're going to see this arrow over here. ONOS must generate the same number of instances at the same length. So this is this can be avoided by resample the noise. Okay, so we're going to add in a resample. And turn off in the comments over here, turn off time slide. And under the method, choose new rate, new interval. Unit value, choose absolute. Okay, and the S over here, we're going to change it to samples. Sample, and you see that it's turning this letter into I, which is stand for index. Okay, and we said that we need 36 index. The start of a string or an array is 0, so we're going to end it with 35. Okay, and then we can just drag and drop this into the scale OP. And you're going to see now it start to create this kind of scaling randomly the rectangle on the x-axis, and we choose the y-axis over here. It's going to create this kind of random scale up and down of the objects. Okay, and I can increase the size over here a little bit just to make everything overlap with each other. Okay, and we can also play around with the noise over here. We click on the noise and go back to noise over here. I can make this more intensive by reducing the period. Okay, and I can increase the amplitude of this so that the object become bigger. Okay, depending on your taste. So let's just put it there. I think we nearly there. Next thing we want to do is we use the same noise over here, but this time we're going to use it for generating a operations or a chop that we can use to assign randomly the value of 1 to the value of 0 to 20 21 corresponding to our number of texture over here, so that it's randomly assign the texture on each of this rectangle over here. Okay, so we can do this by using the resample, and then we can put that into a math. Okay, and on the range over here, we're going to change it from 0 to 21. Okay, and afterwards we can just drag and drop this into the texture coordinator OP, and you see nothing happens. It's because we lack the material. Okay, and also on the texture coordinates OP over here, we need to choose the value W. So basically, okay, just to explain a little bit about the parameters over here. So in 3D space, there's three values, which is U, V, and W. And basically, U is corresponding to the X value, and V is corresponding to the Y value. So the width and the height of a rectangle. And the W over here is define the orders of the texture. Okay, so in the case of a texture 3D, top over here is storing on the texture in the W value. Okay, so that's why we need to choose the matte top over here with channel 1s, which is coming from the math 1 over here. Okay, so the channel 1 is actually the name of the noise at the beginning. Okay, channel 1. So that's about it. And then we can add in a material, matte constant, and drag and drop this material. And then for the texture 3D over here, we drag and drop it into the color map. Okay, and you're starting to see all this image up here. And we need to do one more step, because now we see all this black border around the image. And we need to go into our material, commons, blending transparency, turn this on. So now we see the alpha channel being blended into the geometries over here, and we no longer see the black border. Next step is pretty simple and traditional. We're just going to render this out. Top. And we're missing a camera, so we add a camera in. And click on View Actives. We center it by pressing H on our keyboards. And then what we want to do next is we want to switch this view to orthographic, because we don't need 3D. So just press H to center the image into the render. We can already turn on the render over here just to see everything. So it's looking good, huh? And then we can, we nearly there. We about to finish. We just need to put this one on a feedback loop. Top, feedback. Put this one. And then just add in over nodes over here. And then put the over back to the target. So we have all of this beautiful, beautiful generative feedback from the texture, huh? And what what we want to do next to be able to recreate this kind of tunnel of texture, we're going to add in a transform. So right click on the nodes, on the lines connecting these two nodes, and then we're going to click on insert operator, and we're going to click into find the transform. And we're going to, on the scale over here, I'm going to put in the value of 0.99, and also for the other side as well, 99. So you're going to see that it's starting to generate this kind of floral patterns, okay, out of the image. And what you're going to see here is basically the trails, but we have a problem here, which is that the instant is gone because the order is a little bit messed up. So I'm going to put this order on top. So you're going to see all of the instant again, okay? And then I can also add a little bit of rotation to the rotations. So 1. So you see it start to create this kind of beautiful rotations, tornado-like, floral-like effects to it, okay? And let me just turn off the display over here. We can do a little bit of compositing. Just before we do the compositing over here, on the render, I can actually just switch the resolution to 1000 by 1000 so that we have a square ready. And you see that it's starting to stretch our image. So one way to fix it is just reconnect it, disconnect, and then reconnect it, okay? And it's a little bit small, I think. So I can go into the cam over here, view active, H, and maybe zoom in a little bit more with the middle mouse button. Okay, just about right. And then I want to set also a key so I can reset the feedback whenever I want. So I'm just going to add in a chop key and view active, drag and drop it into the punch over here. And now whenever I press 1, it's going to reset itself. And last step is just very simple. We're going to put this into a transform. Oh, sorry. Transform top. And type in the value 1 over here, comma over backgrounds, and then what we need to do next is out. So let it out. And we finish. Okay, so you're gonna see that sometimes it create this kind of black trail into the graphics, which is not desirable. So we can fix this by going into the noise and increase the values of the noise over here a little bit. And we can increase also the seed over here. So the more you decrease the seed, the more instant it's going to make. So the more you increase it, the more instant it's going to make. Okay. And then I can reset this one to 1. Okay. The nice thing about this is we can change the number of instance as we go. So if I want 100, I can do that as well. It's going to kill my computer a little bit. And the Instanxing doesn't work anymore. Because, one more thing that I miss is the number of n over here can be defined by the same formula that we use for the circle over here. So I'm going to copy the divisions, and on the resample I'm just going to type in the same values, -1. Okay, so you see all of this thing created beautifully. Okay, and it's just too much because now my computer is basically screaming. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce this to maybe 50 and 50 as well. Okay, so it's create all of this beautiful graphics with Instanxing. And I can actually sometimes change the order of the just to see how it looks. Okay, but I think we can keep this number very low, just like 10 and 10, just not too much. So that's it, folks. I think I have explained all the basics of this tutorial over here, and the next step is you go and experiment with your own works. Okay, I'm just gonna show you some of the example on my Instagram that I have played around with this technique. So this one is the one that you have seen so far, and then you have this one over here, which is basically just the same techniques, more instances, and playing around with the feedback loops. Okay, and this one is just an image of Instanxing with text. Okay, I can actually show you this very quickly. So in this example over here, what I did is just basically using the same technique with constant over here, but I put this one through a noise, and then use the same resolutions from the constant, and then put the noise through a text top with the operation output into inside luminance, and then use this text top on the scale operator X and Y. Okay, so basically that's the basic of it.